And you guys, so we should be streaming it on YouTube now. Deborah, you can feel free to check it if you want. And it should be going. And we are also recording. So, Regina, I'm going to hand the floor over to you and let you take it away. And everyone, hang tight.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Finding Self Show. I'm your host, Regina. My show is authentic reality series that reaches people from all walks of life who are overcoming their struggles. Today, I would love to introduce you to this beautiful gentleman by the name of Vince Beyer. He is the creator and founder of Victory Tips program, and I am so excited to have him on. He is just very inspiring. His story touched me. He does great things. He helps people cope with mental illness across the globe. And so he will be opening up today to tell us, his past struggles, his accomplishments, and his new project. And obviously today we have Ivy Rice. She will be moderating the program today, and she will also be joining me as co-host. Hi, Ivy.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
It's going to be a great show. And you're launching season 3 today.
I am, yes.
So amazing. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll let you take it away, and I'm going to do my best to work on the tech, and it's going to go great.
Right on. So, Vince, I'm so happy to have you on today.
Thank you again. It's nice to be here.
Yes, I want you to tell everyone. I want to start by your background, how you started this. I do remember you did tell me you've been doing this for about 11 years now. So you first started working on this in 2005.
The Victory Tips program, yeah.
Right, yeah. So you started working on this in 2005.
I've been doing peer support since 2005.
Perfect. And now, presently, you have 29 chapters.
Yes, I have a book. This is the cover of it here.
Right on. Amazing. So tell me a little bit about the book.
Well, I needed a tool. I wanted to help people because I didn't want people to go through what I and my wife and our 2 teenage daughters went through 21 years ago when I was suicidal. I was in and out of psychiatric wards for 3 months. And so I needed a tool to help me help people. So I wrote this book of what helped me recover, and I'm now teaching what I've learned to other people along the way.
Wow, I am just amazed at what you've done and how long you've been doing it for. That's phenomenal. So I know you were telling me that you've brought this program as far as Bangladesh. So name some of the countries you've already touched with your
we're in India, Bangladesh, we're in Zambia, and we've opened up a center in Zambia, and we've just translated the Victory Tips program into one of the Zambian languages. And just this week we received a shipment of 100 books, and we're going to print thousands of them and go all over. We're going to send people all over Zambia and teach the Victory Tips program to the people of Zambia.
Wow, that is phenomenal. I am so impressed. So I'd like to know, what made you start this program? We could start from, I guess, your background, your childhood. Take it away. Let's hear about it.
I grew up really struggling when I started school with a stutter. And so when you stutter, you can't develop your personality because you're trying to figure out which words you can say. So it's very hard to just be yourself growing up.
Yes.
And then in grade, I guess I was 6 or 7, we just moved to a new house, and I went to the corner store one day with my brother, and some kids picked on my big lips. And that was the start of a childhood where I knew I was different. And so all through grade school and high school, I was teased for my big lips and for my stutter. And so life was a struggle for me.
Wow.
And and then but I also had it affected my learning ability because when I was in grade 3 or grade 4, the principal asked to see my parents one day, and she sat me outside her office and had my parents come in her office. She said, "I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. and Mrs. Beyer, but your son Vincent will never amount to anything." Because she was seeing someone who couldn't communicate, someone who stuttered, someone who couldn't speak to adults. All that would come out of my mouth was that was a loud whisper when I spoke to adults because I was so frozen with fear on the inside.
Right.
So I was behind the 8 ball growing up, and by the time I finished college and landed a really great job, I ended up having my first breakdown when I was 22 years old.
Jeez.
So,
Wow.
and then it was up and down since from then, and then until age 43 was when I was suicidal. And
So I just want to touch on the suicidal part at the age 43. That is just wow. What was the main factor of that happening to you at that point of your life at 43?
yeah, it was around that time that my medication was no longer giving me the adequate sleep. So
Okay.
my doctor, my psychiatrist, was giving me 2 weeks notice, like 2 weeks rest, and every 2 weeks he'd just sign a new sheet saying you need another 2 weeks and 2 weeks, and so I'm a person that likes to do things, and I just I couldn't work, and I felt that I couldn't say work at a farm because that would affect my long-term disability pension. So
Right.
I felt stuck, and I sought people for help, spiritual people, but nobody had answers. And I eventually became suicidal because,
Wow.
and when I was stuck, when I couldn't work, I was looking back in my life thinking, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And then I saw all the opportunities that I'd missed because I didn't see them because I hadn't developed emotionally, intellectually like other people. So my view of life was different than the average person because I grew up wounded on the inside.
Of course, yes. Yes. And once that starts at a young age, once you start being wounded at a young age, it is so hard when you get older to overcome because
I'm still having to play catch up.
oh, for sure.
I'm 64 years old and I haven't reached my peers,
Right, of course, yeah. And it in a way it stunts that mental growth, right?
It does. Yeah.
And what I find and what I love about you is that the fact that you have found a way to help people without having to have your degree.
Right.
That's what really touched me with your story. Is you don't have a degree. You
No.
didn't go to university to learn psychology. You are
No.
doing this just based from your life experience and what you went through. And because you didn't get the help from someone else, you decided, you know what, since someone wasn't there to help me, I'm going to be the opposite and I'm going to be there to help someone else.
Yeah.
And I love
From
it.
now on, no one's going to have to struggle alone.
No man left behind. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
And I just love your story. I also wanted to touch on the fact that what's the one thing you had mentioned? Yes. So you had talked about the gift of healing. That is another thing that you're doing, right?
Yeah. It's a great service. If people are struggling, I encourage them to put down their $100, and they'll receive a personalized call from me every day for 30 days. And they'll have access to our 4 daily conference calls that we hold. So It can be a real shot in the arm for someone who's struggling. They just need a little bit of help. It's a great resource. I encourage everyone either to give it as a gift to a friend or to give it to themselves to move ahead in their recovery.
Absolutely. And I'll just say that people can find it on your website. Is that right, Vince?
Yes, under
And
the
it's,
more button,
yep.
it's at the bottom. Give the gift of healing.
And then they can purchase. And that's incredible. And those 30, one phone call a day, 30 days, so that's 1 month,
Yeah,
one-on-one phone call for anyone going
yeah,
through recovery of any sort,
right.
depression, mental illness, drugs, just even a divorce, anything. That can mean the world
Anything.
to them. That's a lifeline. And they're also able to join 4 daily conference calls, like 4 times a day. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Like, as I can relate to your suicide story, Vince, because my daughter, she attempted suicide on Canada Day 2018.
Mm,
And she was going asking for help in the hospital, and they were like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you, go home." And then when she did try to attempt, they're like, "Oh, now they're running around chasing their tails." But even
right.
now, my daughter, when she has like a, where she's feeling down and she wants to go in and try to get help, they still turn her away. So, what I like about this is that you're in the community and you're helping out the community. I always
Mhm,
say we cannot rely on the government to help
mhm,
us anymore. We have to, as a community, come up with ways, come up with agencies, private agencies, to help out our own people, because the government's not going to do it.
mhm.
You know, there's so many
It's so
cutbacks, and
true.
there's so many cutbacks, and they don't want to put money here and they don't want to put money there. So we're the ones that now, and I think it's a better way of doing that, because when you have the government in too much, then they want to
Right.
kind of push the rules and slap legislation and regulations on your own thing. When you're running
Right.
it privately and you're the community, we
Mhm.
have a say. Everybody has a say. Everybody has a seat at the table, and that's
Yeah.
really important. And I just love what you're doing. I think it's great, and I love the fact that now, so you have a manual where now you're going out there and you're teaching other people how to use this program, which is
Yes.
amazing. And I know we were talking earlier about third world countries, how they're, they don't just have to do, I mean, they're not as free as we are. Okay. They're not North American. So they don't have as much social freedom as we do. So especially when you were talking about India and Bangladesh and those places where they have like arranged marriages, um,
Mhm.
the woman is not as, I guess, not put on a pedestal like as we. They're more, lower down. They're considered less. So, mental illness is a big thing in those areas, especially for women, right?
Yes.
And
So for you,
I'm sorry, Regina, I just wanted to point out,
yeah,
and I
for
think
sure.
you touched on it, but to remind everyone, so Vince, you've reached out to Zambia and India
Yeah.
with your Finding Tips Victory program, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got,
And
like
what
I said, one
challenges?
book translated, and the Bangladesh translation is almost complete. So I'll be formatting
That's
that
amazing.
one, and we'll be printing books there as well in that
That
language.
is amazing. I love that. That is so good. Um, it's just amazing where, you know, hey, I guess my husband's right when he say you don't have to have an education to do things. My husband tells me that all
It's
the
true,
time.
though. I mean,
It is true, right? You have life experience. And
Yeah.
I mean, especially when it comes to addiction or anything like that, life experience just goes so much further than the textbook. It really does. Because if you've
Mhm.
never gone through, Vince, what someone else, how do you relate? How you can relate to that person
Mhm.
with a textbook?
yeah,
Not
how,
every day
Mhm.
is a textbook study, right?
and that's a great question. How, what
Yeah.
do you find? How do you relate to people, Vince?
Well, I mean, there's a service called peer support, and in peer support, there's do's and don'ts on how you help people. And so I wrote a book called Victory: How Peer Support Helps Us Find Victory in Our Thinking. So this gives people the do's and don'ts on how to be an effective peer support person.
I love
So
that. That is amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so
so
basically it's
I
giving
think
back.
the world has yet to see how much good simple peer support workers can do. And so my goal is to raise an army of peer support workers and just make a real difference. People shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks before they see their counselor and tell them 2 weeks worth of trauma. And,
Right.
right.
It's
So,
true.
and that is a segue into my latest idea of having a 24-hour Christian support center in St. Catharines for people to come in if they're feeling bad. Just walk right in and be part of. I'm going to have like rotating Victory Tips meetings all day long, and people can come in and listen, and then there'll be a chance for them to talk more after the meeting. But that's the idea, and provide them with names and phone numbers of peer support people who can walk them through their journey, so they're not alone. So no one has to struggle more than a few hours until they get a little bit of support.
I love that. I also wanted to ask you if you could just let us know, walk us through how you got out of your rut, how you got out of that suicidal mindset at the time when you were going through what you were going through.
Right. When I had my first breakdown at 22, I was dating this girl, and she told me the importance of memorizing God's word. And so after a year of floundering, I quit my excellent job. I had an excellent job at a steel mill, and I had to give it up because I had social anxiety. That social anxiety caused me to break up with my girlfriend, caused me to stop going to church. I was just frozen on the inside, just broken, could not handle life. So after a year of floundering, I began to memorize Bible verses. And even though emotionally I was broken, but spiritually I was being supercharged by these Bible verses, and it caused me enough to get back into life. And within 3 weeks of memorizing and speaking these verses, I was back drafting again in my trade. And then I was, I won't say I was off and running in life. I was off and hobbling with crutches, but I was back in the game.
You're back in the game.
Yeah. I wasn't, and it was shortly thereafter that I met my wife, and within a year we were married, and so kids came along. So I wasn't ready for any of that, but
right.
I had enough just to get me back in the game, and I was just doing the best I could. And then, but because I never got the healing that I needed back when I was 22,
right.
It was up and down for those first two decades.
For sure.
And
yeah,
then,
actually, your 40th anniversary is coming up, March 26th.
Yeah,
congratulations. So how did you find balancing? And I know for me, it's a struggle at times because I deal with my own, not just mental health, but also my physical health. So how did you find balancing not just your mental state, but then also balancing kids, wife, family, all these years?
Oh, it's just, it was a hodgepodge. It was a messy. I lived a messy life because I was so broken, and so before anyone gets married, I want them to be a really good student of this program, because you're going to learn some things about life that's going to heal you, and you'll be ready for adulthood and ready for married life. Because if you're broken, don't get married, because it's going to be a recipe for disaster.
A disaster. Yes,
yeah.
You're right. So this book you can get on Amazon too, Vince, that book?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can get it on Amazon. You can also get it on your website, which is great. I love this. Like, this is amazing. So what I also wanted to ask you, now you say you use the Bible. I know you were telling me you use the Bible for these tips. So someone who is not faith-based but wants to use your program,
right? How
do you help them?
In the Happiness Basics book, we have everything in this little book except for the 29 happiness tips. Okay. But included we have affirmations, like Bible-based affirmations that we tell people to read. But if people aren't comfortable reading those, we have we have non-Bible based affirmations that people can
Okay.
use. So
Okay.
you really want to use the affirmations, because that's going to transform you into a can-do person. When you speak enough positives, it's gonna transform you. And so that's what we encourage people, is to take in, speak these positive statements over yourself. And that's now what I forgot your question. Can you just repeat your question to me again?
Yeah, so I was just, no, it's okay, no problem. No, I was just saying, let's say I wasn't faith-based, I didn't believe in God.
Oh, right.
But I wanted to use your program.
So yes, I would say buy the program, and like, if you don't want to read the Bible verses, fine, but read the content that's in the program, because it's going to make a big difference.
Right. And that may just make you want to dive deeper and turn to God, right? Because I know for me, in my struggle personally, I did it without faith, and it was a disaster. I was an atheist, so it was years before I found God. But I found, once I did find my faith, not that my struggles were any less, but what I did find, I was able to deal with them better.
Right.
Knowing that there's someone there watching over me, knowing that I'm not alone in my walk. Because the worst feeling, honestly, Vince, is feeling like there's no one there. I am all alone out there. Nobody relates to me. Nobody understands what I'm going through. I'm by myself. And that is, I don't care who you are. You could be the strongest and the biggest person on this earth. That is the most dark and lonely place to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that.
And we aim to cure that problem with that center. People just have to wait. If they can just bus it to the center, then no one has to have a bad night's sleep alone with their problems. Just go and get some support, and they'll feel way better.
Well, the nice thing is, I can let you know, I spoke to my friend when you had mentioned you wanted to open up the center. And so she's mentioning it to her superior, and looks like you might have a space by September.
Yeah, that would be cool.
To open up your little office. I'm excited, because I'll be in there too with you. So I'll be on the medical side, but if I have a patient who needs your program, I could send them your way, know. And I was even talking to you earlier about opening your program in the drug and rehabilitation facility that I want to open. This is perfect. This is perfect. I mean, what I love about your program is you can use it if you're a drug addict, if you're an alcoholic, if you're just having struggles with life, if you can't balance work and your marriage, and I got a girlfriend, I'm not sure if I want to be, there's so much things that your book and your program touches on, which is just amazing how it's so multifaceted. I love it.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Ivy, did you want to say anything else before we get Deborah in here to ask her questions?
Sure. Thanks, Regina. I just was going to say that what I think is amazing about Vince's program is it sounds like it's open to both faith-based and non-faith-based and individuals. Yeah. And now, is it a volunteer, or now if someone wanted to get help today? I know it's $100, and again, I encourage people to visit your page at victorytipsprogram.com, and under the About section on More, which I'll show in a moment, they can donate. Or they can, for $100, they get a phone call a day for 1 month and access to 4 daily conference calls. What other services do you provide? And what about people who have a lower income, or what are your fees like?
Yeah, we after 10 years of doing the calls for free, I had to start charging. And when I started charging, I lost 90% of my friends. 90% of the people that came to the people don't like to pay, but I felt I had to do that.
It has to be sustainable.
That too, but people get comfortable not lifting a finger to help themselves, but they know they can call in and join this cool call, and I didn't want those people on the call anymore.
Right.
Right.
So
And
so
I
I
see
wanted
here.
people.
You
So
want
I
to
don't
jump
blame
on
so
the
you.
call, so it's kind of a special service for those individuals who are um, giving $100, and then you have a free program I see right here for other individuals that you're helping. Is that correct?
yeah, we don't. Uh, I don't charge new people. New people can come to the meetings for free. It's after they've been coming for a month and they're finding recovery, then I approach them and say, we have this, we're trying to get $2 per person per call. And
And
can
that
we,
that taps into the fact that it's very difficult for people who are going, as you were saying, when someone's depressed, it's hard to get out of bed. So it gives them time to have that healing so they can start working again.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
people
think
can
it's,
find out, yes, and people can find out more about you on your website too with these audio testimonials, right?
yeah, they can
Yeah.
hear me tell my story. There's my story is written is as a written testimony as well. There's a dozen written stories of people who I've been able to help over the years.
That's beautiful. And people,
I
once
love it.
again, can find it right under the More button,
Yeah,
testimonials. Your website is really easy to
yeah.
navigate for anyone out there who's
Yeah.
wondering. And yeah, so Regina, take it
Yeah.
away. Shall we bring, I know we have a guest in the backstage, Deborah.
Yes, Sister Deborah, I'd like to bring her on. She wanted to ask you a couple questions. Vince, is that okay?
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Deborah.
Hello there, Vince, and I
Uh,
appreciate your doing this. It's well needed, and there's many children or adults that are younger adults that don't have any parents to help them, or don't have
right.
anybody to show them the way. And this is a great manual that you put together for them, And
Thank you.
is there a way that it could better, help you? I'll do that to try to do something for you, and speak to a lot of the churches on the subject. But I just like to know. There was one thing um, that I knew even myself would need. Like if I called in, and is there a certain protocol that you go by, that there's like a red flag that you would have all of their information right away when they call you? So where are they located and all these things, so that you can get somebody to better help them professionally to come to their rescue. Do you have
Oh, okay.
Great question.
That's
Great
something I
question.
don't have. I'm currently not working with professionals, so I don't really. That's a good question, and I should probably have those people on hand. So thank you for asking that question. That's something that I need to have available for people. So if counselors hear this program, then have them approach me, and then I can interview them and see if they're the type of person I could refer.
You know what, Vince? I know a couple counselors. I can actually touch base with them and see if they'd be interested.
Yeah,
If you're looking for
yeah.
people, sure.
If someone, a trained counselor, I'd be happy to work with them and funnel people their way.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Amazing.
I like the
That's
sounds.
great. And
Yes.
Regina, I'll just let
Yeah.
everyone know that you've launched Natura.inc, and you've got a
Yes.
space. This is now, we're March 2022. You've got
Yeah.
a space that you're going to be utilizing starting in September. You're doing your degree at university. Maybe tell the audience a little bit about it, because you and Vince are going to be working together.
Yes, I'm so excited. So yes, as I've been going through this whole health system, this broken system that there is, I ran into a young lady who has kind of started her own thing, and I was talking to her about it, and I told her I want to open up this nursing agency. So she has a space already, so I'll be leasing a space through her, and I'll be expanding my agency, which is Natura Inc. And we're also going to be doing advocacy. So I am an advocate for my own health, and due to a lot of people not being able to have anybody defend them or stand up for them or even, speak on their behalf. So we also want to be able to offer that service to people. And also people who are you have terminal diseases and cannot get into the hospital because the hospital's too full. We also want to have a respite center in there where they can come in and get the rest that they need, because especially like me having sickle cell, we constantly need to be rested. And sometimes the hospital, they just don't have the room for you. So we want to be that overflow that they can come to us and get that rest if they need be.
That's amazing. And I want to show we've got your Facebook page there for people to follow, and your Instagram, and more importantly, as well, or as importantly, Vince, I want to give people your Facebook right here, scrolling at the bottom, but I'm going to make it very large, and I'm just going to mute this. Sorry about that, Deborah. There's a lot of background noise here, and let me just yeah, and anyway, carry on. But so this is great, people, and your new program, Vince, will be based out of St. Catharines. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you've
that's
got. Did you guys touch on the fact about the fact that you're launching a new 24-hour program?
Yes.
I mentioned it. That's the goal, is to so that we'd have to train a lot of peer support people to fill those hours, and likely there'll be church people. So if any church people are interested in making this happen, it could be a huge community help,
Yeah,
that's huge.
Most definitely. And I think also maybe even get into ones who are not even faith-based, just regular counselors too, who want to just make a difference in this community, because our community, Vince, needs a lot of work.
And something you pointed out, Regina, on an earlier show, is that you're doing with Mature Inc., and it's so amazing to hear that, Vince Beyer, you're also doing the same thing. Is generally we have, and anyone who's gone through the public health system, even the private system, knows that it's either non-secular, non-religious is called secular, if I'm correct, right, Regina?
Yes.
Yeah. So
secular.
Secular, which is non-religious, or for mental health, or religious based. So it's lovely to have that combination for individuals.
Yes.
And it also opens more doors.
Yeah, and not only that, but it also lets people know, Christianity is not biased. You know what I mean? I mean, we welcome everybody, and we don't want anybody feeling singled out. Same way, like with my program, it's going to be the same way with my services. If you're not faith-based, okay, well, you can have a regular psychotherapist. There's so many different ways that we want to be able to reach people. It doesn't just have to be religious. It can be non-religious and still get the same results as someone who is, faith-based.
Yes, and this is a Facebook program here for the Victory Tips program. Everyone, please check it out.
Yeah, and that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
Yes.
And you're right. It does show that there is that non-bias in the community, which means a lot more people can come to finding God or spirituality, which is so important for mental health.
Yes. Well, listen, Jesus didn't walk amongst the self-righteous. I mean, he walked amongst the ones who were the drug addicts, the alcoholics, the ladies of the night, the murderers, the thieves. That's who he walked amongst.
Yeah,
he didn't walk amongst the ones who were, religious and were, it was the ones that weren't. He wanted to save. He wanted to let them know, hey, you have a seat at the table too. You are somebody too. You are included too.
Absolutely. And did you want to leave us with any final thoughts or call to action, Vince?
What we didn't touch on was the free program. So if they click on the free program button, that takes them to a website called Kobo, and they can download the whole program for free.
And this is it right here, right?
Yeah.
Free ebook, add to my books. That's beautiful. 29 in-depth happiness tips. People can read this right here. And there's more. So perfect. That's available for free. Anyone listening can check that out.
Yes.
And this website is obviously at the bottom of the screen. And Yeah. Deborah, did you have anything else to say? Oh, let me unmute you 1 second. There you go.
No, it's just that I was like it's very important that he get their contact right away immediately while they're on their phone. Just because they could be saved by, maybe somebody trying to kill them, or, something happening where they can't get back to a safe environment. And
Exactly.
then they can have their contact number or wherever they're located, and they can call the 911 to help them, and that's
Yeah.
what they really need, something like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We try to talk to each new person, and we tell them that and quite often, right on the first call, is I tell them that we provide great online support, but what you really need is personal support right where you are. And why don't we go
Yes.
on Google Maps right now, and I'll show you. We'll go on some church websites right where you live, and I'll tell you which churches I feel would be great churches to connect with to find supportive men or supportive women that can help you in addition to what you get from Victory Tips.
That's awesome. You're just amazing, Vince. I'm so glad to have you on my show, and I can't wait to have you on my panel show in a couple weeks. That's going to be awesome. Sister Deborah's going to be on that show. Ivy's going to be on that too.
And 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 we're going to open up that show to now. You've opened up a new Patreon account,
Yes.
and so it should be live. I'll just show everyone quickly.
Yep.
And let's see here. And so Regina, basically, if I'm so this is a brand new Patreon. We'll put it on the bottom in a moment. People can
Sure.
find it, and for $10 a month, they can help support everything you're doing. And for $50, they can join the panel discussion.
Yes, definitely. I will. Yeah. So we're welcoming people to join the panel. Not sure how many people, Ivy, can we have on the panel at one time?
Up to 8 people.
No, beautiful. So there you go. So anybody wants to join, come on in. We'd love to have you. I'd love to have different perspectives, people's point of views. I'm very open that way. So the more the merrier. Yes, definitely.
That's perfect. And once again, people can find the
Yes.
your website, and they can find out how to get on your show via email at findingself@gmail.com.
Yes, or they can also go into my website and they could go and fill out the contact form.
Yes.
I know that they'd like to be a guest on my show. Or
Yep. And it's your website's really very simple. Finding Self with Regena.com, easy to navigate,
Yeah,
and contact forms right there.
Not hard at all. There you go.
Beautiful. All right. Well, Vince, it's been such a pleasure, and and everyone, I think it's so important to support these fabulous individuals.
Yeah.
And Regina, I'll let you close it off.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for having us. Time for us to go. Everybody in the great questions. Now we are going to be live on YouTube. So if anybody has any questions for Vince, we would love for you to put it in the chat. And in about a month, Vince will come on the show again, and we will answer any questions you guys have for him. He'd be glad to answer them. Even if you need any support, please let us know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on our show. Vince, it was great having you. Thank you.
Thank you. And everyone, don't forget to subscribe to Regina's YouTube channel and give the video a thumbs up.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.